welcome to Dragonfly Computers We're Down edition. So, the last few days have been interesting. I spent a couple of days overclocking, benchmarking, and my goal this week was to release a real solid not benchmarking video. Actually, I was going to do both. I was going to have a nice solid benchmarking video and a nice solid overclocking video about the Threadripper 2950X, and that is not going to happen. We are currently down and probably will be through the holidays, so there's going to be a few less videos coming. Main reason because I tried to add a second CPU fan. That was the thing that was the extreme attempt that I made that killed my machine completely. And I'm not the only one to have that problem. So what ended up happening was, while I was doing overclocking, I wanted to see how much I could squeeze out of it. So I decided to add a second Noctua CPU fan to the back side of that Noctua cooler. And it arrived, and the motherboard had its own header for a second CPU fan that's meant for it. So I just plugged it, literally yesterday at like 7 in the morning. I was like, oh, I'll throw this fan in, it'll take me 5 minutes, and then I'll get busy making all these videos. So 2 hours later, I'm on the phone with Newegg doing an RMA for my motherboard, because once I plugged in the secondary CPU fan, the board wouldn't post, the BIOS wouldn't even come up. And I did all the regular, I flashed the BIOS, I stripped the board down to nothing, just one stick of RAM, started over, flashed the BIOS, cleared the CMOS, tested the power supply. You name it. I did every troubleshooting step that you could, and there was no rescuing it. It won't boot. For a while, the power button wouldn't work anymore. Even the power button on the board itself would sometimes work. And it's a real killer. So my first, of course, thought was to get super pissed off at ASRock for releasing a garbage product and all the rest of it. But I think that's a little unfair. I think it's the X399 platform that's the real issue right now. Because, my first thought was yesterday is, I can't go down like this. I can't have this kind of unreliable. This was the reason I didn't switch to AMD in the first place, was because I was worried about reliability. But I just couldn't help myself when I saw the Threadripper offering, and especially that it was hitting its second gen. I was like, okay, they probably got some bugs figured out. There's reviews aplenty, there's overclocking aplenty. It seems like a lot of people have switched to this platform and people really like it. So I was like, okay, it's probably not too big of a risk. And now I'm really second guessing myself. I lost sleep over this last night because it seems like it's just the luck of the draw. If you get a good solid board, you could be good. And then I'm looking at people that have gotten 3 and 4 boards now because they can't keep their machines running and they just do basic stuff. Look at all the issues I've had. I had my RGBs blow out, where I had to rewrite the RGB firmware. I had to manually overclock the RAM because if you just enable the XMP profile, you won't even be able to boot into BIOS. You have to clear the CMOS. I had the secure boot wouldn't work. Everything I tried to enable, any kind of secure, the TPM didn't work. And then just adding a second CPU fan, bricked my machine. And now it's on its way back to, mail coming at 7 in the morning, cause it didn't come yesterday. Now I'm back to nothing. I'm back to using the old machine that I used for 3 years and never had a single issue with, and then I took it out of its case and gave it to my wife. And now I'm back on that machine, and that's a real killer for me. So what I'm trying to say is this. So I go and I decide for myself, okay, maybe it's just ASRock, and I'll go look at MSI, I'll go look at Gigabyte, I'll go look at Ace. I was ready to just switch to a different motherboard, like RMA this thing, and when it came back, I was just going to sell it. And I'm looking at the comments, I'm looking at the reviews, and I'm looking at the comments, and everybody's having major issues with these things. Everybody. And then it's different with every manufacturer, and it's all BIOS-related stuff, and boards not booting, and all this stuff. And it just seems like the X399 may not be ready for prime time here. And that sucks because it's such a powerful offering. When I get this board back, I'm going to throw it all back together and see what I get. If I have a million more issues with it and it ends up going down, I'm done with X399. I'm going back to Intel. And it's kind of funny. I was already pricing stuff out last night and I was looking at it. And it's kind of funny to think the i990K, look at it as a huge step down from where I'm at right now. Whereas a couple of months ago, I was drooling over the i99K and being like, I don't want to shell out $500 for a processor. And now I'm like, ugh, it's like plebe territory. So that's kind of a thing. And then the other thing is, or do I spring for the money? It seems like the most solid board is the Asus Zenith, which is like, you can't even find them. And if you do, they're $700. And I'd have to go to extended ATX, which means I'd have to buy a new case. So really the all-in cost for me for something like that would be $1,000. I don't know if it's worth it for that to stay on X399, especially when I still may have issues. Because those things, although they seem to have the least amount of complaints on them, they still have complaints. So, and it's the same kind of weird shit where people are bricking their machines. So, I don't know. This is a quandary for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I hate the idea of going back to Intel right now, but I hate the idea of being down even more. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? What do you think I should do? I don't know what to do right now. Right now, all I can do is wait for this board to come back from the RMA process. It's going out this morning because I missed the truck yesterday. So I'm down for probably 2 weeks. We get 2 weeks to figure it out. But you know, this is definitely cowboy hat territory for sure. And that's where we're at. So in the meantime, check out my other videos. If videos are a little slow in the next couple of weeks, this is why. I'm still going to do my best. I have to edit everything on another machine, which doesn't have any of my other stuff on it. It's kind of like living out of a hotel room for my digital life. But yeah, we are down, and I'm working off a 5-year-old CyberPower laptop with a 4th gen Intel CPU and a 980M NVIDIA graphics card. But at least it's still got M.2 storage in it. So it's actually still a pretty fast machine, but it doesn't have the horsepower to do Adobe duties. So that's where we're at. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned for updates. And as always, press D to dab.